Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Vaditamastu Mavidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May the Divine Being look over us lovingly as a mother and father. May the Divine Being support and nourish us as a mother and father. May we have the strength and skill to study together the art of spirituality. May no misunderstandings arise amongst us. Om, peace, peace, peace and beneficence to all beloved beings everywhere, including, as Balaji said, including those poor suffering people in Ukraine and the surrounding areas, and wherever else there is strife and destruction. So we are gathered together this evening again to study the life of Sri Sarada Devi, the Holy Mother, as offered to us by Swami Chetanananda in his book, Sri Sarada Devi, Her Divine Play. Before we begin, is there anything from anyone that is left from last week or any of the weeks previous that we need to discuss before we go ahead? All right, if there's nothing, then our wonderful reader, Haima, will take us forward. And she'll start us where we belong.
You want me to go ahead, Brother Shankara?
Yes, please, dear.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. We are on page 702. 702. I would start from the second paragraph. In August 1919, there was heavy rain in Jairambati. In the evenings after japa and meditation, Holy Mother would ask her disciples to sing some devotional songs in the parlor, or she would ask them to read the Bengali Sri Ramakrishna Kathamrita to her. Swami Ishananda wrote, for the last few days, we've been reading the Kathamrita part 3. After listening to the reading, one day the mother said, how wonderfully Master, meaning M, kept everything in his memory and then wrote it down so beautifully. Listening to the conversations of the Master, it seems that those are taking place right now in front of us. What a vivid description. And the Master's words go straight to the mind and stick there. Nowadays, so many people are drawn to the Master by reading and listening to the Kathamrita. They are getting peace. The Master's words are infallible.
All right, now let me just break in and say, that wasn't just then. For those of you who don't know the Kathamrita, don't know what is in translation into English, it was translated as the gospel, the good news of Sri Ramakrishna. And the words are just as powerful now as they were then. And what Mother says is absolutely true. They go to the mind and stick there because the Master was so eloquent, so articulate, and he spoke so simply. So anyone who has not read the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, I can't recommend it highly enough. And start from the very first page. Don't go just to chapter 1. Read the introduction by Swami Nikhilananda, because it is masterful. He was a masterful writer, and he was Holy Mother's disciple. So it is very powerful indeed, the introduction. Any comments from your own experience about the gospel or anything else?
I have a PDF Swami Sarvadevananda sent me from Hollywood, Brother Shankara. If anybody wants, it's on my new computer. So I can send it to anyone who wants it, the
Yes,
PDF.
it's the
I'm reading it right now too. 200 pages I finished. It's beautiful.
yes, it is remarkable. And I also have the PDF, so if anybody wants it, they can ask for it from here too. So, but since Haima was kind enough to offer, please just ask her and she'll send it to you. Anything else from anyone about their own experience of the gospel or anything else that arose in your mind because of this conversation? All right, dear, please go ahead.
The master's words are infallible. I commented, Mother, all the advice and ideas of the master are so beautiful. They fill the mind with joy. The mother said, You're right, my son. If anyone can comprehend even a little of these teachings, that person's life will be blessed. One noon during this period, Ishanananda was preparing beetle rolls with Holy Mother and asked her, Mother, when you encountered the robber in the Telebello meadow, were you afraid? She was hesitant to say anything because she didn't want to expose Lakshmi, Shibu, and the others who had left her alone. Maku insisted, Aunt, tell us the story. Holy Mother said, Yes, I was terribly afraid. My heart was palpitating. The moment that man came near and asked, Who are you? Immediately from the bottom of my heart, I said, Father, I am your daughter. And I became like his daughter. Then that robber became somewhat puzzled. He said, Don't be afraid, my child. Meanwhile, his wife arrived. When Maku asked her to continue the story, the mother said, What happened then is all written in the book. I cannot tell it anymore. That's amazing, Brother Shankara.
Well, what happened, for those of you who are curious, is that robber and his wife literally adopted the mother right then and there on the spot as their own. They took her home, they fed her, they cared for her in every way, and then they accompanied her all the way to Bellarmont, which is where she was headed, which was still a long way off. And it was very dangerous for someone like that robber to do that. But the robber and his wife accompanied Holy Mother all the way. Of course, they had Ma Kali's protection, but they must have been a little nervous, because if they had been recognized, they would have been arrested in a moment, particularly the man. So, but this is such an endearing story, and it is told in the gospel. The whole story is told in the gospel of how she came to Dakshineshwar for the first time.
It seems some transformation came into the robber's and his wife's mind immediately when she said, I am your daughter. How can they kill or do any harm to their daughter? Some kind of transformation happened right then.
Well, she said the reason why it came from the bottom of her heart. It was completely spontaneous. It wasn't a contrivance. It wasn't an ingratiating thing she said. She wasn't trying to be ingratiating. She just said, I am your daughter, because that's the way she felt about an older man like that. And he, in fact, became her disciple. He took Diksha from her, initiation from her, and became her disciple, and became a leader in his community because of it, even though he didn't change his way of life. And Mother was scolded for having such a man as her disciple, and feeding him with her own hands, and cleaning up after him, like she would anyone that came to see her. And she said, this too is my child, which means leave me alone. don't fuss at me about this. Anything else from anyone before we go on? Because we're
Do
about
you
to.
think this has any kind of influence on Vivekananda when he said at the Chicago meeting, brothers and sisters?
No, he didn't say brothers and sisters. He said sisters and brothers.
Okay, sisters and brothers, yes. Do you think if is there any influence of this incident on in his mind?
I don't think so, Balaji, for this reason. Swamiji was asked later why the audience had risen and given him a 2-minute standing ovation. First of all, the reason he said sisters and brothers of America rather than brothers and sisters, which would have been the ordinary thing to say, is when he looked out into the audience of somewhere between 4,000 and 7,000 people. The newspaper reports are varied on this point of how many people were there, but at least 4,000. When he looked out into that audience, the majority of the people in the audience were women. Now, that's a very simple thing to understand. In those days, women, particularly women of means, who had the ability to come to the Chicago Exposition and this meeting of the Parliament of World Religions, which must have been a great curiosity to them. And there had never been anything like it before. So the majority of those women didn't have to work, particularly the women who were in the hall. So it was predominantly women. And so Swamiji said, sisters and brothers, looking out into the audience. But then why did they give him a standing ovation? He was asked. He said, and these are his very words, if not his very words, very close paraphrase, it is because I have not had an impure thought since I was 16 years old. Now imagine that. And so the audience responded to him because of this evocation of purity and recognition of who was there with him. They stood up and gave him a standing ovation. And when he finished speaking, they began to walk across the chairs to get to him. And one woman remarked, and this is in the literature, I think it's in New Discoveries by Sister Gargi, Mary Louise Burke. One woman remarked, young man, if you can withstand this, you are indeed a saint. Because the adulation was just there in the air. And he only spoke for 20 minutes or so. It isn't like he gave a great long oration full of, but it was, of course, very to the point and very appropriate to the occasion. Does that answer your question, Balaji?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else from anyone while we're paused? All right, dear, please go ahead.
The mother's last Jagadatri worship. After the rainy season in 1919, the mother was suffering from malaria off and on. Her health broke down. She was weak and thin. When fall came, she got ready to perform Jagadatri Puja. Parameshwarananda went to Calcutta to buy various things according to Holy Mother's instructions. When he was leaving to return to Jairampati, Saradananda told him, "Please tell the mother that her health has deteriorated from several attacks of malaria. So immediately after the worship, she should come back to Calcutta." Parameshwarananda reached Jairampati with a bullock cart loaded with the articles for worship. He saw that the mother's health was very poor, yet she had constant visitors. According to her instructions, the clay image of the deity was made and other necessary items and groceries were purchased locally. Parameshwarananda recalled, "I observed that the mother was indrawn most of the time. On previous occasions, she had asked us to do things, but this time it was different. Now she demonstrated how to do a particular thing and then said, 'In the future, follow this method.'"
She knew
Same-
that her time was short. In other words, she was showing them how to do the Jagadatri Puja according to her instructions, knowing that she would not do it again. That's why she said that. So please read that again, dear.
I observed that the mother was indrawn most of the time. On previous occasions, she had asked us to do things, but this time it was different. Now she demonstrated how to do a particular thing and then said, "In the future, follow this method." It seemed to me that she was making arrangements for the future when she would not be with us. When she was telling us repeatedly, "You will do it this way," a doubt came to our minds and we felt uneasiness.
Hmm.
The articles of worship were kept in the houses of Kali and her other brothers. She ordered me to move everything to her new house. It seemed that she was cutting all connections with her brothers. The day before the worship, I asked the mother in the evening, "Who will do the Alpana?" Alpana means an auspicious painting made with the paint from rice powder. I asked the mother in the evening, "Who will do the Alpana? Shall I call the aunts?" "No, don't call them. You are my sons and you are my daughters. You do the Alpana." I had learned how to draw in school, so I painted the floor of the shrine. Delighted, the mother called the ladies. "See how beautifully he has painted the floor. Can you do it like he does?" The mother showed me how to set the plates of Naivedya and what kind of utensils would be used for offering food and drink to the deity. She also told me how the Naivedya would be distributed among the priest, the mantra prompter, and others. She also mentioned what was to be given to the image maker, drummer, and others.
In other words, she was leaving complete instructions as to how to do this after she was gone. Everything was, she was giving instructions to people who were capable of listening and remembering. People like Parameshwarananda. Okay?
Before the worship began, the mother received the priest and the mantra prompter with humility, offering them each a cloth, sacred thread, betel leaf, and betel nut. The Mangal Ghat, consecrated pitcher, filled with water from Banerjee's pond, arrived, accompanied by musicians, and was placed at the front of the altar. The priest invoked the prana in the deity with the mantras and began the worship. The mother bowed down to Mother Jagadatri, encircling the corner of her upper sari around her neck. The deity was worshipped 3 times, and the ceremonies continued till 4 o'clock. In between the worship ceremonies, the mother offered flowers. When the Homa began, the
Now,
mother...
just a moment.
Sure.
So there were 3 watches that went on from dusk until 4 o'clock in the morning. And then after after all of that is done, then there is a Homa fire ceremony. It's a puja after the puja to offer everything that has been done. And these Homa are done at the temples here in Atlanta, of course. They are also done after pujas in the Hollywood Center. Many and many were attended. And they're beautiful ceremonies, relatively short, but very intense and full of congregational chanting. You take part in it. You chant mantras to the master, to the mother, to the deity that's been worshipped, and so on. And then you offer everything, yourself and everything that is and has been done, to the divine being as Brahman. May all this be an offering to Brahman. It's beautiful, this Homa ceremony. So please now read again, dear.
The deity was worshipped 3 times, and the ceremonies continued till 4 o'clock. In between the worship ceremonies, the mother offered flowers. When the Homa began, the mother sat and watched the Purnahuti. Then the priest sprinkled the peace water from the Mangal Ghat. The mother and all the devotees received that holy water and bowed down to the deity. After the first worship, the prasad was served to the Brahmins and then to other people. After the Vesper service, puffed rice, luchi, and sweets were offered to the goddess Jagadatri. The worship continued for another 2 days. On the 3rd day, before the immersion ceremony, an earring was taken from the image according to custom, and the mother whispered into the ear of the deity, asking her to come back the next year.
So sweet. This relationship, this sense of relationship. This is the secret of spiritual life, having a relationship with the deity. This is what prompts us to go forward, even when things don't seem to go well and we're not feeling well and all this. I mean, we're not feeling like things are, when we have a relationship with the deity, when we don't abandon our friends when we don't feel well, when things aren't going well, even when there's some little kerfuffle between ourselves and a loved one or a friend. We don't abandon them. We find some way to make it right. Well, here's the mother whispering in the ear, knowing that this image is now alive because it has been awakened by the mantras, and this is the sincere belief. The image comes alive. It is there. That is the deity. It isn't just an image of the deity. It is the deity. And so she is now saying, Mother, speaking as her daughter, Mother, come back next year. How sweet. Any comments or questions? This is such an important thing about relationship. Is there anything that anyone would like to say or ask?
Brother Shankara,
Yes, dear.
this Jagaddatri is not worshipped in most parts of India.
No, I think it's something that is part of West Bengal. It is
Okay.
Jagaddatri. I don't think is worshipped as such by the Ramakrishna order, except there at Jairambati. I wouldn't swear to that, but I think that's true. They continue the Jagaddatri Puja there at the temple that exists in Holy Mother's village.
Thank you. So maybe it's a local kind of Devi or goddess.
It's a local aspect. You know, there's only one deity, there's only one God, only one
Okay.
existence. It has these many forms.
Right.
Some say 33 million different forms in India.
Yeah. Okay.
Well and good, 33 million people have had some individual vision of the deity, and it's been powerful enough for them to to create an image and worship it, and then of course they gain followers, and it becomes a lineage following that. But I think Jagaddatri, like Simhavani, is they're local aspects of the goddess.
Thank you.
Thank you for asking. I'm sure other people were wondering, who is this Jagaddatri? It's not a word you hear
But
often.
isn't that in Jairambati? Mother used to go to a temple, and I thought, I don't remember exactly, was that a Jagaddatri temple?
No, Simhavani. It was the
Oh,
Simhavani temple.
okay.
I think I'm saying that word right. If I'm not, someone correct me.
Brother Shankara, Jagaddatri is another name for Parvati Devi, I think.
Well,
She is Parvati, Shakti, Shiva's wife. So
yes.
we do
So there it is. But these aspects are local. This is why I say
yes, that's right.
there's only one divine mother. There's only one.
Exactly.
There's only one Hring. I mean, her bija is Hring, and there's only one, but it has so many forms. Parvati, of course.
Yes, Shailaja, there are so many names, different forms.
Shiva and Parvati. So now we have Shiva in his many forms, many aspects. He has 1,008 names.
Yes.
Parvati in her many forms. I didn't know that. Thanks for bringing that.
We do Parvati Puja in Sri Sailam and all, Kalahasti. When you go, there is a Shiva Puja. And then they
Yes.
Puja.
Yes, they do puja to that aspect of the mother here at the Hindu Temple of Atlanta. I'm reasonable.
Exactly. She's the most powerful. Yes.
So, but like I say, each locality seems to have their own
Different
evocation,
names.
their own, and she looks a bit different. She has different attributes, certain special things like Simhavani, that there's a great healing power there. The mother went there and mixed water with the dust of that place, made mud and put it on her own body and put it on the body of others, particularly a young man who had been snake bit and would normally have died. The story is told in this book. She used that paste made from the dust of the grounds of the Simhavani temple, and he was cured. And under normal circumstances, he would have died. So, how joyous are all of these aspects? Of course, Dakshineshwar, the Dakshineshwar Kali. That's
Exactly. Kali is Parvati.
Yes,
Right?
Kali, Parvati, they're the same. But the Dakshineshwar Kali is a unique Kali. It is a beneficent, benign form of the mother. The Kali is known for her terrible aspects. But the Kali of Dakshineshwar, the Dakshina Kalika, is the master said, and as did Rani Rasmani, the woman who built, who financed that temple. It was her Ishtadeva, however you say it in the feminine form. In any event, she knew her as unendingly loving, generous, and benign. This is the Kali that she knew. And this is the Kali that Sri Ramakrishna came to know. Though he knew her in all of her aspects, the Dakshina Kali, the one that's worshipped there, and will be worshipped in Hollywood, for example. If ever you wish to attend a Kali Puja, I think they do it also in St. Louis, but and certainly they do it at Ridgely Manor in upstate New York if you want to visit there, which will take place probably early next month. But these are powerful, powerful pujas. Many, many times I attended a Kali Puja at Hollywood. I can't tell you how many years. And it's transformative. The energy is transformative. Anything else from anyone? All right, dears, please read on.
Okay. The mother always loved to listen to yatra performances based on the Puranas, and she arranged one every year. The villagers also enjoyed these performances. Before the worship of Mother Jagadatri, the mother said to me, "Take these 100 rupees and arrange for the yatra performance of Anukul Mandal for 2 nights." When we had booked the performance, Uncle Kali said to the mother, "Sister, I have financial problems and you are spending money for a yatra." Disgusted, the mother said to me, "My son, it's not possible to do anything for Kali. Return that money to me." I returned the money to her. I was sad that the mother would not hear the yatra performance. The mother also purchased 3.5 acres of paddy field for the annual celebration of Mother Jagadatri. Holy Mother's health was failing day by day. Previously, when Narayan Iyengar had offered money to pave the courtyard of her house with cement, she declined. He offered again to complete the project before Holy Mother left for Calcutta. This time, she said to Parameshwarananda, "Since Narayan is asking again and again, let him pave the courtyard with cement." Then she pointed out a small section of the courtyard that should not be cemented because a wooden stove, which is a temporary wooden stove for cooking during the festival time, is made by digging a hole in the ground. So that stove would be made there for cooking during Jagadatri Puja and for making puffed rice. She also forbade paving the floor of her bedroom with cement. Seeing
So-
Ramakrishna.
Well, hold on.
Sure, Brother Shankara, go ahead.
Notice how thoughtful and detailed the mother was. She said, "Okay, let him do it. But this little portion cannot be paved because it's going to be used as this stove that is made by digging a hole in the ground." I've witnessed this, not in India, but in the Andes.
Oh, really?
This is the way that cooking is done by indigenous people of the Andes. Is they dig a hole in the ground, build a fire, wrap the what is to be cooked, and then place it on the coals of the fire and then cover it up. and then they take it out, clean it up, and you eat it. I know, I shared it with them. Delicious potatoes, by the way. That's where potatoes come from, is from the Andes. And they have so many different varieties. So this is not an unknown thing elsewhere.
Not at all. They used to cook in the earthenware, Brother Shankara. It's made out of clay pots.
Mm-hmm.
In India, when I was when I was little, I used to see in the villages. I'm sure many of my peers, probably Indian peers, had
Wonderful.
seen that.
Okay. Anything else from anyone while we're paused? What time is it anyway? Oh, it's still early. Okay, good.
Seeing
Oh.
Ramakrishna in every being.
Ah,
That's the next side heading. The culmination of the Vedantic experience is to see God in every being and everything.
now just read that again, please.
Yes. Seeing Ramakrishna in every being. The culmination of the Vedantic experience is to see God in every being and everything.
Now, that's it. If you want a summary statement, because there is only God, God alone is the doer, and this is the truth behind the appearance of Maya. So this is what he's saying. The Swami is saying that is the culmination of your spiritual journey, is to come to see this. See it, not think it, not imagine it, see it. It's inconceivable to us as we sit here. But believe me, if you spend time in the presence of someone like Sarvadevananda or Yogatmananda or Chetanananda, Ishtananda in Florida, you see that is what they're seeing. They see only the divine in you. Of course, they recognize your spacesuit and all its attributes also, but they know that's just something that's going to go. But the divine in you and in every being, that will not go. So that's what they see, and that you too will come to see this if you pursue spiritual life. Any comment or question about that?
Very well said, Brother Shankara.
Thank you, dear.
Wonderful.
So anything else from anyone? Thank you, Shailesh. All right, dear, please read on.
Let me go back again. The culmination of the Vedantic experience is to see God in every being and everything. This realization takes place when a person's individuality dissolves and his or her I consciousness becomes one with the cosmic consciousness. I'll read it again.
And understand that when she says consciousness, it's a capital C.
Yes.
Capital C, cosmic, capital C, consciousness. This is the one consciousness. As Swami Yogeshananda used to teach, consciousness is primary and is not plural. Though there seem to be 11 of us here, and the truth behind that is that there is one, only one, which is why this is so joyous to gather this way, because the one celebrates itself in this studying the art of spirituality together. So do read it again, please, from the beginning.
The culmination of the Vedantic experience is to see God in every being and everything. This realization takes place when a person's individuality dissolves and his or her I consciousness becomes one with the cosmic consciousness. The Mundaka Upanishad uses an analogy to describe this experience. As flowing rivers disappear into the sea, losing their names and forms, so a wise man freed from name and form attains the Purusha who is greater than the great. Ramakrishna had such experiences, one of which he described to Holy Mother saying, I am glad you are here. I feel as if I am going to a faraway country across the water, very far away. The master also said to Yam and Harinananda, the indivisible Sachidananda, I see it both inside and outside. You all seem to me to be my kinsmen. I see you all as so many sheets, referring to their bodies with the heads moving.
the, the, the master actually saw what is referred to as the cosmic egg. He saw, which is referred to in spiritual, mystical literature all around the world. Around us, some people call this an aura or whatever. Around us is this etheric, egg-shaped being that surrounds us. And Sri Ramakrishna used to actually see, and he would, rather than walking, these eggs seemed to be bouncing. He would see them coming toward him there at Dakshineshwar. And this is what he's describing here. There, so many sheaths with the heads moving. Any comments or questions about that? It seems so strange to us, but it is familiar to the saints.
Brother Shankara,
Yes, dear.
this is not directly related to, what was described a few minutes ago, but in general about our identity that we are so attached to. Just a concrete, simple example. There's a friend of ours who changed the name he was known by for 4 decades of his life to something else. So the same person A now is known as person B, and it took us all a few times to get used to. Now our minds automatically think of him as B and not as A, and this is just the name. So can we imagine how much impact the labels that get put on tie us to this body mind complex?
These are the upadis, which are, one translation of that powerful translation is limitations. We have all these ideas of ourselves. I am a father. I am a man as opposed to a woman. I am tall. I am short. I am thin. I am fat. All these things are simply descriptions of this stardust spacesuit. At the time that the inner being, the subtle body, leaves that spacesuit, all that is left behind. The mental impressions, all the mental impressions gathered as this stardust spacesuit, they remain in the subtle body. And they may manifest as tendencies if that subtle body takes another stardust spacesuit. But they won't remember. The new human being won't remember. So when people change their name, they do this in order to try to change the limitations that are associated with that previous name. This is why oftentimes when we take spiritual initiation, Diksha, we're given a name. As Swami Prabhavananda gave me the name Shankara. And my son, he gave the name Bhima, two of Shiva's 1,008 names. And so this is not at all an unknown thing. And of course, oftentimes, not so much these days, but traditionally, women, when they married, took their husband's name. Oftentimes these days they keep their own for their own reasons. Well and good. But they then became so-and-so that is no longer Alice Johnson, but Alice Choli. I just met a woman who is married to Pritam Kohli. Her name is Nicole. I don't know what her maiden name was, as it's called, but now she's married to Pritam. She's a Christian, and her name is Nicole Choli. So these names are just ways of changing who we think we are. Thank you for bringing that up, Swayam. Anything else from anyone? Okay, please go ahead, dear.
In Jairambati, Holy Mother had a similar experience of oneness. Parameshwarananda described this. The mother's health was not good, and her mind was indrawn most of the time. She was performing all her duties in the household, but the focus of her mind was towards the infinite. One day we arranged the Naivedya in the shrine and the door was open. Niranjan, a greedy boy from the Banerjee family, cast a hungry look towards the food. Holy Mother told me, the look of that boy has made the food bad. It cannot be offered to the master. Prepare fresh food for the master.
Now notice this. If we look to food that is to be offered with a greedy eye, it taints the food. So this is one of the little cares that need to be taken. The mother was not exaggerating here. But if we do, then we just beg the deity's forgiveness, offer it anyway, and say, take what you can. I regret my error. Now, in this case, of course, because this food was to be offered to Sri Ramakrishna, she said this food has to be set aside. It wouldn't be wasted, of course. She would give it to someone, but prepare fresh food for the master. Any comments or questions or concerns about that? Okay, please go ahead, dear.
Another day, I saw that boy on the veranda. Before offering the Naivedya to the master, the mother gave some of it to that boy to eat. Surprised, I asked her, Mother, the food has not yet been offered to the master, and you have given some of it to that boy. She replied, my son, the master also dwells in him. I became apprehensive, but could not say anything. On another day, she took some food from the offering plate and gave it to Gangaram, her pet parrot.
The master used to give food that was to be offered to Mother Kali. He would give it to the cat, or he would eat it himself. And of course, the temple priests, the other temple priests there at Dakshineshwar, were just scandalized by this. But it's because Sri Ramakrishna saw the consciousness in the cat, and he saw the divine being in himself. This is why. So, so mother gave some food to the parrot. This is so sweet. So anyway, go ahead, dear.
I protested, Mother, what are you doing? The Naivedya has not yet been offered to the master, and you have given some to Gangaram. That is the parrot. She replied, it's all right, my son. The master dwells in the bird.
And you remember too that one time there was a cat that lived there in mother's house at Jairambati. Like all cats, the cat was sometimes mischievous. And so there were brahmacharis there to help take care of mother, brahmacharis from the Kualpura ashrama, the local Ramakrishna Mission Center. And one of the brahmacharis, finding the cat being mischievous, grabbed it by the scruff of the neck and was going to give it a big whack, scolding it. And the mother very sharply said, don't beat that cat. I am in that cat. Which is why the cat that lives with us here at this monastery is named Devi, D-E-V-I. Mother is in that cat. And Devi can sometimes be mischievous, believe you me. So anything at all from anyone about any of that? All right, dear, please go ahead.
One evening, she poured some milk into the master's bowl and asked me to drink from it. Dumbfounded, I asked her, Mother, how can I drink the milk from the master's bowl? She said, the master exists inside you. I'm telling you to drink. I protested several times, but she insisted that I drink milk from that bowl. One night, her attendant had no pillow, and she gave her own pillow to her attendant to use. When I protested, she said, my son, it's all right. The master also lives in her. I was perturbed and I observed the mother's mood. She was seeing the master in every being. I thought that she would probably depart from this world soon.
What did this chapter start with?
This
The culmination of the Vedantic experience is to
Exactly.
see the divine being in every being and in everything.
Yes,
So every being and everything.
everything.
That's how this subchapter started. And so this is what the mother's doing. And the Swami is very accurate in sensing his intuition that the mother's mood indicated she wasn't much longer for this world. And indeed, she was not. So any comments or questions from anyone?
As we speak of cats, I'm feeding stray cats outside.
Are you bless you, Shailesh. Yes, those feral cats are oftentimes very needy, particularly when there's a mother cat that hasn't been fixed and she has kittens. She so badly needs to be fed. So bless you, it's no doubt.
Yeah, there are like there are 3-4 cats which come here, and I have a couple of houses outside. So this at night when it gets cold, they will sleep.
Oh, how sweet. Good for you.
Yeah, and I feed them. They eat a lot now. There was one kitten last year which came, and then I fed, and now it's much bigger. It's almost a year. I mean, I tried to give him a shower and everything, but it ran away. So
Well,
yeah, I mean, you have
there are people who will come and trap those cats and fix them so that they don't reproduce.
yeah,
And then release them again. They don't keep them. They don't take them to a shelter. They simply take them. to vets who are, the vets, these organizations that do this are supported by donations, and they pay the vets, but at a reduced rate. And so the vets do this. So you may wish to do this.
Yeah, I called the Humane Society and they said they were very busy and they cannot come and take the cat. But I think you have a good point. I look into it.
Yeah,
I think this male cat needs to be fixed, so
and,
that.
and the female cats also need to be fixed.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You remember Brother Dhruva, who used to come here. He's ill now with Parkinson's, so he can't come anymore. But Brother Dhruva, when he was spending about half the year in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, was part of an organization called TSNP. And TSNP was Tuscaloosa, SNP being, fix the cat. And so he would, there's doubtless some parallel organization that you can find, Shailesh, and that will take care of this for you. And it would be a grace to the cats because, they just continue reproducing. They can't help themselves. And so they continue to reproduce. And it's very difficult, particularly for the mother cats. The mother cats just are so stressed, those feral female cats. The tomcats, first of all, they're probably good hunters and eat chipmunks and so on. But mothers, when they're nursing the kittens, they don't have time to hunt. And so they need to be fed. And so it's better if they don't have those kittens. Thanks for bringing that up. And I hope that others do the same thing. And now it's 7:27, so that's the mother's and the master's birth anniversary. Let's not start that new subheading.
That's right. We don't have much time there, but
So you might just read this last little bit again, dear.
yes, I will do that. Okay, I'll start from. In Jairampati, Holy Mother had a similar experience of oneness. Parameshwarananda described this. The mother's health was not good and her mind was indrawn most of the time. She was performing all her duties in the household, but the focus of her mind was towards the infinite. One day we arranged the Naivedya in the shrine and the door was open. Niranjan, a greedy boy from the Banerjee family, cast a hungry look towards the food. Holy Mother told me, the look of that boy has made the food bad. It cannot be offered to the master. Prepare fresh food for the master. When the fresh Naivedya was ready, the mother offered it to the master. Another day, I saw the boy on the veranda. Before offering the Naivedya to the master, the mother gave some of it to that boy to eat. Surprised, I asked her, Mother, the food has not yet been offered to the master, and you have given some of it to that boy. She replied, my son, the master also dwells in him. I became apprehensive but could not say anything. On another day, she took some food from the offering plate and gave it to Gangaram, her pet parrot. I protested, Mother, what are you doing? The Naivedya has not yet been offered to the master, and you have given some to Gangaram. She replied, it's all right, my son. The master dwells in the bird. One evening, she poured some milk into the master's bowl and asked me to drink from it. Dumbfounded, I asked her, Mother, how can I drink the milk from the master's bowl? She said, the master exists inside you. I'm telling you to drink. I protested several times, but she insisted that I drink milk from that bowl. One night, her attendant had no pillow, and she gave her own pillow to her attendant to use. When I protested, she said, my son, it's all right. the master also lives in her. I was perturbed when I observed the mother's mood. She was seeing the master in every being. I thought that she would probably depart from this world soon.
And of course, that's the case. You know, it's interesting, the mother giving the milk in the master's bowl. We have all these special dishes and so on for the master, but the master's requirements were not like that. One time, he was in a carriage going somewhere in Calcutta on the Maidan, and he said, "I'm thirsty. What can be done?" And there was a club, an English, I think, club there. And so one of the attendants, the carriage stopped and they went in. The attendant got some water and brought it back in a glass. All the master asked, the only thing he asked was, has the glass been well washed? Has the glass been well washed? So this is repeated in the gospel. Every word in the gospel is meant for our instruction. This is all we really need to do when it comes to offering things to the master, is make sure that the article, the plate, the glass, whatever it is that we're using, we can keep special ones for the master if we wish, which we do here, but it isn't necessary. So if you're somewhere and you want to offer something, all you need to know is that the vessel that you're about to offer it in has been well washed. That's all. Anything else from anyone? This is what Christ meant when he said, "Come to me, all ye who are weary and heavy laden, and I shall give you rest. My yoke is easy, my burden is light." The demands of the divine being, what do they want from us? They want our love and our acceptance of their invitation for what in the Christian terms is called salvation, in Vedanta, liberation, moksha, kaivalya, all of these different terms, but they all mean freedom from limitation. This is what these great ones come for, to free us from limitation. And Aaron reads to me pretty much every morning from a book called The Punti, a portrait of Sri Ramakrishna by Akshay Kumar Sen. And just this last 2 mornings, we've been reading twice 7 promises made by the Master. And he says, just have faith in me. Just take refuge in me. That's all you need to do. So any final thoughts from any of you? Well, once again, so joyous to be together this way. Come, let us go forward together. Anything else before I close out? All right. Om Asato Ma Satkamaya. Namaso Ma Jyotir Kamaya. Mrityor Ma Amritangamaya. Abir Moiti. O dearly beloved, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from this realm of endless noise and relentless confusion to thine abode of silence, serenity, clarity, and peace. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from darkness and ignorance to the brilliance of thy wisdom and love. Lead us from death to immortality. Light us through and through with thy everlasting, shining presence. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace and beneficence be unto us and to all beloved beings everywhere. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji Ki Jai. Durga, Durga, Durga. May we be safe. May we be healthy. May we be cheerful. May we have peace of mind. And may we be always in the loving and protective embrace of the Divine Being as our Mother and Father. Any last thought from anyone before we say good night?
Thank you.
All right, dear ones. So tomorrow night we'll study the Divine Grace book by Swami Ranganathananda. Quite an adventure that is, as he proves to us that to be fully human is to be fully divine, as defined by Sri Krishna and Sri Ramakrishna and Vivekananda. And then on Saturday, of course, we're studying, and this coming Saturday, by the way, is Seva Saturday for this month. So if you can, please join us for that, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., anytime in that time frame. And then on that Saturday, we will also, at noon, take up the Swami Prabhuvananda's book, How to Know God, which is Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, as commented on by Swami Prabhuvananda. And then on Sunday, we'll have an open forum on Jnana Yoga, which will be a lot of fun, because Jnana Yoga is it's not meant to be a long-faced aspect of religion. It's not meant to be solemn. The master was playful, even about jnana. So we'll talk about that on Sunday, an open forum. There'll be a worksheet that'll come with this week's newsletter that says what we'll talk about to open the open forum, and then the rest of the hour will be spent in discussion with you all. So that's what to look forward to for the rest of this week. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji Ki Jai. Good night, all.